Well, hello there again, friends. Today is 3/21/2022, and today is the Odin Project Vlog Day 77. It's been a hot couple weeks since I uploaded. Um, my throat's a little scratchy yet. I'm still a little under the weather. Apologize, guys. A couple days after I did the project sign up form part 1, I got incredibly ill and stayed ill. I don't know what I got, but it was bad. I haven't been that sick in a long time. But anyway, I'm on the up and up, and I figured I felt well enough today to do a video. So I got part 2 done, and some of part 3, and you'll see it in a minute. I'll describe it and explain it. Excuse me. So start out here. Let's get started. Step 2, gather assets. The design has a large background image, so go and find and download an image you want to use for that section. The one in that design can be found on unsplash.com. As we seen earlier, we looked at the design file, which is this right here. So they're talking about this background and this image. And it says feel free to select your own. Be sure to credit the creator for your image. Sorry if I cough a lot. That's my illness. So it's not Tourette's this time. It usually is Tourette's, but not today. 2, pick an external font for the logo section. We've used Norse Bold, but you can use any font you like. 3, for the image sidebar, we use this Odin logo. Again, feel free to replace it, and they're referring to this right here. And then step 3, some tips. How you attack this project is mostly up to you, but it's wise to begin by scaffolding out the structure of the page and then take the various sections one by one, which is how I planned on doing it anyway, and I'm glad they gave that as a good reminder, because that is the best way to do these projects is how do you eat an elephant? An ear at a time. So it says the area behind the Odin logo is a div that has a dark but semi-transparent background color. This enhances the readability of the text against the busy background image. And I'm going to stop reading there because that's kind of where I stopped. I stopped mid-flow, but I wasn't in my flow state when I decided to stop to make a video. This is stuff I worked on over the weekend when I was feeling a little bit better. So I kind of stopped midstream, and you'll see that. So without further ado, let's hit the editor. Before I do that, I want to show you guys the asset. So the asset I gathered, so I created a folder called images inside my project sign up form folder. And then this is the background image I used. And you'll see that here in a moment. And then I created another folder called fonts. And I did end up grabbing their Norse Bold that they had sitting out here on this link here. I won't click it again, but that CDN link will take you to that file. So I downloaded that file and stored it in the fonts folder. And it's defaulted to an OTF file, which we'll use as a WAF. You'll see here in a moment. So going back to the excuse me. Going back to the editor here, we have our standard boilerplate file with our style sheets linked at the top here. And sign up form is the title. And we start with a container div, a class container, and that's the that currently houses everything on in the page. And then inside the container div, I have another div called column left and a div called column right. So let me explain this with the page up here. So this is column left and this is column right. Okay, I know it looks kind of ugly, but you want it to scale, and see it does scale. And I'll show you how I got it to do that as we go along here. But I was kind of mimicking this. You see how this takes up about 25% and this takes up about 75% of the real estate. Basically, it's not perfect, but I was trying to mimic that same type of thing on my sign up form. So so when you resize the page, it's somewhat responsive. Of course, that's not 25%, but I tried to go for that. This is a work in progress. It's not done yet. I may go back and tweak it. I may not. But here's what I have so far. So inside, here's our div class left column. JB Technologies as an H1. And then we have a div class column right, which inside that has a div class top card. And this is the top card right here. And it's got a paragraph text inside of it. It says, "Welcome to JB Technologies. Please fill out the brief form below for one of our consultants to reach out to you to see how we can help you with your thriving business grow faster." And that div, and then we have another div called form card, and this has got a few things in it. It has a paragraph tag called "Let's do this," which you will see that right there. And then and inside that you'll see a form. And I stopped here because since being sick, excuse me, sorry, I really wanted to get this video out. Maybe I shouldn't have, but anyway, I started my form here, and I got my input label, first name, input type, text for the first name, and then the name field, first name, ID first name, same thing for last name. And then I stopped there because the format wasn't looking good. And what I mean by that is on here, if you watch, this doesn't look too bad, even though this doesn't resemble this quite yet, but it's not too bad. But as soon as I resize, it gets all jacked up. So I know I can get it. I know I can do it. I just haven't gotten that far yet. So I decided to stop because, like I said, I was not feeling that great, and it felt like a good stopping point because that was going to take quite a bit of learning. So I went ahead and stopped there with the structure here for the HTML structure. So that's where I'll be picking up next. So let's look at the style sheet real quick. There's a little bit going on over here. So at the body, I created used the body tag here to create a selector, background image URL. So if you remember, I told you in the beginning, I grabbed a background image and put it in a folder. So I put it in the images folder inside my projects and pointed it there. That's a cool trick you can do with the URL method. When you call that, you can call an actual URL, like a CDN or something, or if you have it locally, like I downloaded it, you can call it locally. So that's what I did, and that's what this ends up looking like here. So that's why the background's the way it is. That's why when you resize it, it stays there because it's appended to the actual background. I had it originally as a how did I have that? I had it as an image, but not a background image. It was taking up the body, and I had it in a weird way. And so I thought for a moment, and I'm like, I don't think this is right. And so I found the background image. Since we've not really used those yet, not had a need to, I found that to be much more conducive to what we're working with. So then I had a margin of 0, just basically zeroing out any margin on the body that existed. I commented this out because I had it originally and I took it out, but I wanted to leave it in there in case I wanted to re-enable it. It's easy to re-enable. Won't go over it and why I had it there because as of this point I don't plan on reusing it. Next thing, we have a media font face. What this does is this sets in motion. It tells the browser that you have a font that you want to customize and make your own. So I have a font family, and I called it my web font. And there's 2 source files. So just like with the background image URL, you can do a source URL. This is pointing to the Norse Bold OTF file that I showed you a minute ago. That's under our fonts folder. Come on, right there. Okay. And the format is WAF and WAF2 and WAF because, long story short, this provides backward compatibility. I think if I remember right, WAF is the old format method that's being deprecated, but it's the one that is backward compatible for Internet Explorer 8, I believe. So basically, for your old, it basically backwards proofs your user base out there who might be using an older version of Internet Explorer that doesn't support WAF 2. They'll be able to still get your Norse bold font via the my web font call. And even so, I even proofed it farther down, future proofed it, and backward compatibility proofed it by when I called it right down here in column left, my web font, I then said sans serif as a backup. So even if these two fail, if none of these, either of these two don't work for whatever reason, it will still have a backup to sans serif, which we've talked about before in other videos and learned. You always want to have a backup default font family that your browser can default to instead of just having it choose, because what it chooses may not be what you want. So then we have and what that does is that creates the font here. That's the only place I'm using it so far is under JB Technology over here. It's a cool little kind of hieroglyphics type font, and there's that. And then we have, sorry, I'm all over the place here. We have a container display flex, so that the container is the entire page viewport basically, and I want that to be a flex container so that I can do things with it, like what we're about to talk about here. So I have a column left and a column right, and we already went over that, but to get the specifics, we went over the font family. Color is white smoke for the column left. Why? Oh, yeah, that's so the color white smoke, that is for the text. So this right here, because it doesn't affect this, because this is a background image. So the only text on the screen is the JB Technologies on this section over here, on this div. So that's why it's white. I'm sorry, guys, half out of it here. Text align center, align self center, which makes sense. We're just centering JB Technologies in the div onto the center of the column left flex. So flex base is 50%. So that sets its initial width to 50%, and that's why it is responsive the way it is. You can play around with the numbers. You know, originally I had it at 70, and I tried 30, and it was a little too intense. So this seemed to be a good middle ground. Background color RBG-A. We haven't really talked too much about that. The A is your, I forget what it stands. The A stands for. Base, that's your opacity. So 0.5 is basically creates easier to read text, and for and that satisfies the requirement here of the area behind the Odin logo is a div that has a dark but semi-transparent background. This enhances readability. So that satisfies that. So you have a decent looking div that's not too intrusive and helps you to easily see the JB Technologies text. Okay. And going down a little bit, we have column right, which is a flex again. We're doing a flex direction column. We're changing it to column because we're going to do stacked cards from here on out. We're doing align text flex n, which basically means we're going to shove everything to the right hand side. And basically the reason for that is I wanted everything to start from the far right and come out to the left, because it just makes responsive sizing better. It's just how I did it. There's other ways to do it too, but if I didn't have the flex end in there, this stuff would be not centered. So that's how I did that. Again, there's different ways to do it. Mine's not right or wrong any more than anyone else's, just the way I did it. So then we have two cards. We have top card and form card, just as they sound. Background color is RGB. I just chose that arbitrarily to make it offset from the form card. So the RGB color is the this grayish color, and then the white. I think it's just white, isn't it? White there. Yeah, white would be the white one for the next one down, which is this one here. We have a font weight of 900. So if you remember, 900 is basically bold. So that's where this comes from. Let's do this is 900 weighted, and padding of 100 pixels for the entire card. So everything around here is 100 pixels, and same as this one. And then you see the padding pixels on that one as well. 100 background color white. Align self stretch. So I did this. I commented this to kind of remember to make sure I mentioned that in the video, in case I forgot. Is that it fills in the gap to the container, the left edge. So basically, without that, if I were to do, you'll see. If I were to do that, save it. See how it does that because I'm telling it to flex end, so it's flex ending here, and basically because of the padding, it's stopping here. But I want it to go to the I guess I should bring up DevTools. That probably make things a little easier too. There is the edge here of the it's not the container, but it'd be the right. Yep, the right column right div. See how it ends there? I want to go all the way to the edge, and so that's that stretch align self takes care of it. There's other ways to do it. Again, not saying mine's right or wrong or indifferent. It's just the way I like to do it. Again, I'm super, like I mentioned in the last video, I'm super tempted to go with a framework on this, a CSS framework, but I'm not because it didn't say to, so I'm just trying to be good about it. So, and I won't make this video any longer. So that's it. A little bit different style today. I know my energy may not be there. If you feel it through the video, I'm sorry. I'm still feeling a little under the weather, but I felt good enough to get the video out because I wanted to keep moving on this and work on the form. So next time we're going to be continue to build out the form, and then we're going to make it look sexy on the page. Instead of it doing all this nonsense it's doing right now, we'll make it do what it needs to do to get it to look like that. So with that said, hope you guys enjoyed the ride today and learned a little bit along the way. Please like, share, and subscribe for more content. And let me know in the comments section how you're doing this project so far. And until next time, see ya.